Hey, why don't we take a moment and talk about some interesting stuff in clowning? Thanks for joining me. I'm going to share some of my thoughts from the inside. Recently, there's been some discussions on Facebook, and one specifically asked the question, have you ever been assaulted by someone who's afraid of clowns? And it started sparking a number of thoughts in my mind, so I thought, well, I'll just get on here and share some of my thoughts about this type of thing. First of all, I'd say that people that are truly afraid of clowns, stay away from them. I've never been assaulted by somebody who's afraid of clowns. But there are some people that do not embrace the presence of a clown. And sometimes it's different levels. I mean, sometimes people are just hecklers, okay? And I think that happens for different reasons. I'm going to share a few different experiences and how I handled things. And honestly, I wish I would have handled them differently at times, but I'm just sharing some thoughts from the inside. First of all, I'd say this. Kids are usually not hecklers. First of all, I'm bigger than them, right? And usually, if they're not entertained, they're at least intrigued by the clown, okay? And so I don't have, rarely have had any issues with this type of thing, but there's times I've had parents that are hecklers, and maybe they're trying to show they're cool, or they're smart, or they're funny, or they're trying to show their kids or grandkids, that they're in charge and I'm smarter than the clown or something. I remember one time I think I was tearing down after a show, and it had gone real well. And a parent came over, but I had a puppet stage and I was taking it down and folding up the curtains, and it was a pipe frame stage. And I still remember this because this dad basically was feeding his kid heckler lines. This kid had to be, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years old. And the dad was saying, hey, ask the clown why his feet are so big. And, hey, clown, why are your feet so big? Because an elephant stepped on him. And then he'd say, oh, ask the clown why he tries to be funny. And you know what? I was tired. I was ready to be packed up and be done. But then one thing happened, and I wasn't really trying to ignore them, because I'm a clown and I had to be embracing the moment. I wasn't in the mood, and I just remember that the dad said to the kid, "Hey, ask the clown why his nose looks like a rotten tomato." And I just had that spark of inspiration. I went, "Oh, rotten tomato? Well, it sure does smell terrible." And it was enough. It made the dad laugh. And he was like, "Oh, okay." And it got the feeling. It's like, okay, that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for something witty, to make me laugh, and that kind of settled it, and off they went. And so I think that's one thing about hecklers. In general, they want to see if you're funny. So if you have, I found what helps is if I have a few memorized lines that I can use in the moment. For example, line I use various times. Hey, I may be dumb, but I'm sure not stupid. Another line from the early 1900s. Old clown named Billy Hayden would say this. He said, I used to have straw in my shoes till my calves went down and ate it. And that's witty enough that sometimes it kind of catches people. And so, yeah, I try to use maybe some like pre-thought lines in the moment to help bring a little spark. And like one time, I remember I was in an elevator, and I think there was like 3 teenage boys stepped in the elevator, and they saw me, and I saw this wry look on their face, and I thought, well, I'm not sure how this is going to go. So I just took the initiative, right? And this one kid had his hair cut like really short on the sides, but long on the top. And I just stared at his hair for a moment, and they looked at me and I said, wow. I said, that is so cool. How do you make your hair do that? I said, isn't it amazing what a mom can do with Tupperware? Well, his buddies just cracked off laughing, and he was like, oh, I can't believe it. Here I'm being made fun of by a clown. And they all kind of laughed, and the elevator door opened, and they walked off, and I said, have a good day. And they walked away giggling. Okay? So I'm saying sometimes I need to be proactive. I need to use lines that I know are going to work maybe in the moment, and that's going to help me a lot. So first of all, don't be intimidated, okay? There's times, I'd say second thing, sometimes I do just drop character. If I'm with other adults or older, maybe teenagers, and they know I'm dressed up like a clown, okay? I'm not trying to fake them out, that type of thing. And so there's times I found I may need to just drop character. I'll give you an example. Some teenage girls stepped on an elevator. I think I was at a clown convention headed down. And anyway, they stepped on and they looked at me and kind of, gave a little look. I just said, hi, how you doing? Ready for a good day? And they went, yeah. I said, okay, have a great day today. And I just talked to them like they're real people and I'm a real person. Okay, I just dropped character. And I think sometimes as an entertainer, I just need to do that. They know I'm not a fantasy character, and I'm just an entertainer hired, and I'm there to do a job. And so I treat them with respect. Now, the big question, I think, is when people feel physically threatened. I mean, if you feel threatened, that's a big thing. I have never been physically threatened by an adult when I've been doing clown stuff. But I have had kids out of control, kids not being supervised, kids, I guess, trying to take control of the situation because maybe they feel they're smarter than the clown or something. And I understand sometimes, they just want to play. I get that. And, some kids play, when they play, they get rough and they get crazy. And I know some boys, they see each other. First thing they do is they walk up to each other and grab each other by the head and start wrestling or punch each other. And that's because they're friends. So now, I don't want them to do that with me. Okay. Just know that might be coming. So number one, if that happens, never act like you're hurt. Not in a comic way, like, oh, don't hit me. Oh, that hurts so much. You know what they're going to do immediately? They're going to start chasing you. Okay, so if you can ignore it, they hit you once, you can ignore it, they hit you twice, then you have to realize, okay, maybe I'm going to have to address this. So first of all, I try to ignore it, but if it's blatant and repeated, I stop, and I often will say, hey, please don't hit me. I don't hit you. Don't hit me. We don't hit each other. That's not what friends do. Or they'll stomp on my feet, right? They see the big clown shoe, so they stomp on your foot. And I'll usually stop immediately and say, oh, please don't do that. Clowns have sensitive feet. So please don't do that. And so I just address it. I would say the third thing that I tend to do is I look around immediately to see if there is an adult that can rescue me. It's hard for a clown to be a disciplinarian, right? How am I an authority in this place? I'm a clown. So I need to find somebody that is an authority that can help address the situation. And there have been a few times where kids have persisted, and I've just said to them, if you keep doing that, I'm going to leave. And I just tell them that. And there's a few times I've just turned to walk away, and they'll go, no, don't leave. And I'll say, I don't like it when you stomp on my feet, or when you hit me. And so I'm not going to stay here to entertain you. and I walk off and find a different audience. And I think it's the only way that they learn how they should react to entertainers and to clowns, right? Well, I'm not going to put up with abuse. Now, I'll tell you one time before a special program, it's still very memorable, very vivid. It was actually at a church, and I had gotten into my clown outfit, and it was probably half an hour before the program was supposed to begin. And I came walking in through the lobby area and then into the side doors into the main sanctuary. There were already like 4 boys in there. I'd say age 8 to 14. And they saw me. One went, "Hey, look, there's a clown." And they all 4 came and converged on me. I was towards the back, still by the back doors of this sanctuary. And they went, "Hey, clown." And they went, "What's that?" And they reach up like to grab the flower on my jacket. I said, "That's a flower." It's like, "Well, what you got?" And they literally started reaching into my pockets, trying to grab things out of my pockets. Well, the biggest kid had his hand coming into my pocket. I grabbed his wrist and I backed up and I went back through the back doors and I swung around by the by a wall and I put the kid up against the wall. Okay, this is what happened. The other kids followed, like, "Hey, leave him alone. Stop it, clown." And I just said, "Listen, you might think it's funny to try to grab my stuff and to disrespect me, but I don't think it's funny at all. So you need to knock it off." He's like, "Yeah, leave me alone, clown." Yeah, I said, "Listen, I know how you look, but you don't know how I look under here. So knock it off." And he went, "Okay, leave me alone." And I said, "Well, you leave me alone." And then they stopped, and of course they went off, and I had to sit down and, and try to gather myself. It very unfortunate. I'm not saying that's the way you should handle things. I'm just sharing something that happened to me, and I was not going to let them abuse me. So it's tough. It's tough. I mean, I was flustered. I was upset. And though, I mean, I had to walk in there and still clown into a program for all these other kids, including the ones that had just basically assaulted me. So here's a few things. First of all, I don't recommend physical contact. I was in the moment, and you know, parents may not have appreciated my effort towards discipline. I get that. I certainly would talk to them about that. First of all, yeah, I don't recommend physical contact. I don't necessarily believe I handled it the best way. What I should have done is this. Number one, I should have not have put myself in that situation. I'm walking through there by myself. I don't have anybody around me. I don't even know the location really. I'm in a place of being ignorant, okay? And I don't know what my options are. I shouldn't have put myself in that situation. Secondly, I could have tried to diffuse the situation maybe with some comedy, but it did come on me real fast, okay? But my second recommendation is try to diffuse the tension, the situation with comedy. Third thing, I needed a clear bodyguard. You go to Disney, you go to places wherever there's characters, they have plainclothes policemen, or else they actually have people in gear. They're handlers. The handlers are not there to handle the mascot. The handler is there to handle the crowd that might get unruly. The handler is there to protect the mascot character. And so it would have been smart for me to do that. And as I mentioned, I ended up dropping character. And to me, that's kind of a last resort, but I think it's necessary in those types of situations. So, those are some of my thoughts and some of my experiences. I've been clowning over 40 years, and I'm thankful to say I only probably have 4 or 5 experiences which were kind of negative in that way. And in that time frame, I think I'm doing okay. Um, I hope that helps you out a little bit, at least gives you some food for thought. And go out there and make them smile.